Hello, everyone. Today, we, of course, are going to finish up on our Munsters characters, and that's going to be Herman Munster. And before I get started on him, I just want to show my little list of things. I've put a little check mark beside the ones that I've got finished. We did Hocus Pocus, Wizard of Oz, Scooby Doo, Beauty and the Beast. I just had it down as Gaston because back when I started, I didn't know it's going to be a whole Beauty and the Beast thing. I just was going to do Gaston's Tavern, but then it became what it was. And then I did my Over the Garden Wall Pumpkin. Of course, I'm working on the Munsters. I do want to do I Dream of Jeannie, but I'm kind of not. It doesn't seem to be getting that much of excitement from anybody, and I'm can't find what I want to use to make her bottle. So it may get done, it may not get done. I don't know. I definitely am going to do the mid-century house. I'm going to work on it around the same time as I'm doing the Munsters. And then I've got down Harry Potter. Harry Potter's so overdone. Everybody does Harry Potter miniatures. I don't care if I even do Harry Potter. So Genie might be on the chopping block. Harry Potter's definitely not going to happen. One is because I don't have anywhere to sit it once I get it made. If I did do something, it would be the Weasley house because I've never seen anybody make a Weasley's house. I have seen them make little models, but not an actual dollhouse. So if I decide to do Harry Potter, it'll be way later down the road, and it would probably be the Weasley house. Genie may or may not get done, but we're just going to focus on the Munsters and the mid-century house. I've got a bunch of stuff ready for the mid-century house, and I think that's going to be really fun once it gets started. So anyways, I'm just going to I'm not going to scratch anybody off yet because I ain't decided. If I could find what I want to use to create her bottle, I'll make it. But if I don't, I'm not going to make it. It's just going to take a certain piece to make that bottom half of her bottle. So we'll see what happens. But for Herman, I've got this little guy here. And then his suit is going to be brown. He's going to have a black shirt. A lot of the merchandise they make, that companies make, they put him in a brown suit. Sometimes they'll put him in a gray suit or a black suit. But I think I like the brown look better. Now his head's hollow, but I'm going to have to chop the top off to give him that flat top. And it's going to leave a hole up here, and I'm trying to figure out what to use, like to fill that hole in. Probably just some hot glue because I don't have air dried clay. The only clay I've got is like oven bake, and of course I can't put that head in the oven or it'll melt it. So I'm thinking maybe just fill it up with some hot glue. But then it's not going to be, then it's not going to be turnable. So I don't know what to do, but my little brain is just going, trying to think of what to use to fix that. Um, so, anyways, I'm probably going to make a suit off camera, but I do want to show a lot of what I'm going to do as far as making that face and head transform into Herman. So let's just get a good little look at how he is before. I always like seeing it, and before and after. I just get so fascinated to see how different I can make them change. So anyways, let me get some supplies together and we'll get started. All right, so let's get him down and cut his little top off here. I'm going to, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Just trying to cut the top off. This is not, let me see. I'm just going to get a little bit at a time. And of course, I've got a camera between me. And see, it's going to have a hole. And it's not going to be as big of a hole as I thought. So it may not be that big of a problem to fix it. All right, so it's going to have to go flatter. And then these little bangs, you can see they're kind of raised. I'm going to have to shave that off too because he don't have all that going on. I want to get as much bulk as I can off, because once I glue down like some real hair, it's going to make it even more bulkier. So I want to get away, just kind of clean up that forehead. And I want to keep it nice and flat. That's already looking better. And I'm going to clean this up a little bit neater. I need to take off some more back here. I don't know what they did for Herman Munster's head, like the top of it, but there are scenes where he will fall backwards or lay down, and like his wig flaps back, and it's really weird. If you've watched it enough, I'm sure you've noticed that. Um, but it's just really weird that his head or his hair flips off. But let me see. I think that's good enough. So you get the shape of the head. I'm thinking I might need to take a little bit off the sides here too. And again, with the camera in front of me, I'm doing it very awkwardly. But it's good to just shave that little flocked hair off of there, because I don't want any kind of bulk. Then do a little bit more over on this side. Now, of course, I'm going to paint his head black before I try to glue the hair down, just so if you do see through the hair, you'll be seeing black, so you don't notice it, being thin in some places. But he's getting definitely a more Frankenstein monster head shape, that more flat top. So that looks good. I'm afraid to go too much. And I think what I've decided, I think I will use hot glue to fill that in, but I'm going to shove some aluminum foil in there or something to where the glue won't touch that little knob that his head's attached to. So the glue won't touch the knob and his head will still be able to turn. But then the glue, just a little bit on the top of that aluminum foil, will help fill in that little hole there, and I can smooth it out, and then I'll paint it. But that looks pretty good, just doing that much right there. Oh, I'm so excited already. I mean, the smallest little step, my little brain can vision what my plans are. So there he is. The paint job is where I'm going to be so excited, because it's just like when I do makeup. I do it again. If you know me well enough, I dress up as so many characters, which I need to do more cosplay videos and show how I do makeup. Doing his makeup is something that I'm very excited to talk about. I've seen a lot of people dress up as him before, and anyway, I'll get into it as I'm painting it, but I'm excited to do the paint part of this character, so I can explain a few little things that I've always wanted to mention when doing Herman Munster makeup that some people don't ever do. So we're going to get a little paint tutorial and a little makeup tutorial at the same time here once I get this finished. All right, so I've got it done. I've got that aluminum foil in there, and I've filled that up the rest of the way with the hot glue, so it's kept that flat top. And then I thought about putting a little piece of tape or something over that hole, and then glue the hair over that, but then I thought it might not stick well, and then it would be soft and it might push down in. So I think putting that aluminum foil in there was the best solution, and then just capping it off with a little bit of glue, because you can see how it still turns. It done really, really well. So I'm just letting that dry a little bit, and then we'll paint it. But those last clips where I was trying to carve away at that head was probably freaking some people out. It was kind of freaking me out, because it looks like I'm going to cut my finger, but I was being very careful with it. But anyways, I'm just waiting for that real quick, and then we'll start painting that little face. So now he's kind of got that same basic color as the other characters, so I'm just using that straight out of the bottle. I'm not going to try to mix anything fancy. I'm going to just get the face painted with that straight up color. And And then I gotta get his neck a little bit in case if the neck shows. And then just all the details will come once I get this painted. I'm just gonna let this dry real quick. I'm not gonna try to shade it or do anything right now. But anyway, that looks pretty good. I don't know what this color is. I've had this paint for a very long time. Dutch Aqua. It's like a really good color for these characters. But it's kind of thick. It's kind of thickened up since I've had it. I've probably had this paint for like 3 years. I can't get it in that little crack right there. What in the heck? Get in there. Okay, so there it is, and make sure it ain't too glooped up in those little eye sockets or anything. So that looks like a pretty good Herman Munster color. And again, I'm gonna let it dry real quick, and then we'll do the good little details that I always like doing. All right, so while we're waiting on that to dry, I want you to check out this little cup, because I got this at, I don't know, where did this come from? I got this last year for Halloween, and what really sold me on it was I just thought the design was cute, but that tiny, tiny little ghost in the pumpkin eye was the cutest thing I'd ever seen. So of course I had to have it. And there's a tiny little spider. I just love little tiny little things like that. But look how cute that little ghost is. All right, so this is the amount of paint that I have given myself because I am really like OCD about wasting paint. So I don't want to mix up too much that I'm not going to use. But I'm just going to take a little bit of black and put in that color that I used. I'm afraid to go too dark. And we can go a little darker. All right, so just kind of darken that same color. And then I'm just going to kind of shade some of his features. Like I'm looking up at that picture of him. And he's got, I kind of want to make this stand out right there. That don't look right. I know that don't really show much on camera. These marks are a lot darker in real life. I think my little light just drowns everything out. But I just want to kind of darken this little crease here. What is this little crease called? I don't even know, but now it looks like he's got a mustache almost. This little cup, I keep water in there just to keep the brush off. And then sometimes I'll use my hand right here as like a little paint palette. I'd rather use my hand than this actual paint palette back here. But let me kind of go right there where I've got it too dark. I'm going to go back over it with that straight up color. And then let's see what else. He's kind of got a little dark around the eye. So I'm going to go kind of darker on that. I don't want to like do a straight up black or anything, but okay, kind of, I don't know, this is so tiny and I'm not used to doing it on camera. And I said don't do black. Boy, that's pretty darn close to it. I don't know. I think it'll be okay. Now, let's see. Now, the one thing about Herman, he's got this really kind of like a little, his brow bone, I guess it's his brow bone that really sticks out. And you want to enhance that. You want to go across here, all the way across, under the brow, all the way across. Like don't skip the above the nose area, the bridge of that nose. So you want to shade under that, even though this doll doesn't have a very sticking out brow bone. We're going to make it look like it's sticking out because of how we're doing this darker shade. So just right under there. And then I'm going to go up a little bit higher, actually. Like that. And then the more I do to this, I'm going to try to focus my camera and lock it in place. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. And then another thing is that blue color. So I've tried to make it look like it, you know, some dimension there. And then what I want to do, let me get that cleaned off the brush. All right, so I got me some white, and I'm going to mix that with that blue color that I started with. Make it a little brighter because we're going to do a highlight across the top of that dark spot that we just made. And I guess I've got it brighter. All right, so I'm gonna go. I don't really know. This is so different from how when I done it with makeup. Now I kind of got that line crooked. What am I doing? All right, I'm gonna go back in with the darker color and straighten that line up. I want that line to be kind of straight across his forehead or his brow area. And it don't even look like he's got eyebrows, which is crazy. I'm not sure why I'm just noticing that. I mean, I've probably noticed it before, but just... I have to post a picture of me when I did Herman Munster. I look really good. I mean, I've got to say. But let's see. I think I'm happy with where that's at right now. And then the other thing that people don't do when they do Herman Munster, it's very important, and it's... see, I feel like I've give him kind of a more prominent brow bone. So now I want to make his eyelids. If you look at his eyelids, they're almost a white. Not necessarily white, but they're a very bright color. And I'm going to almost make them white. I'm barely going to even use any of the color, using mostly my white, because the key to a good Herman Munster makeup is to do that brow bone. But then this is so tiny, and he don't even have... it's hard to do an eyelid when his eyes are open. But I'm going to try to give him like an eyelid. And again, I don't know how that's going to happen, but let me see. Just want to go a little bit above the eye. And I'm doing this so far away from my face. I think that looks really good there. I don't know. I don't love how it looks on the camera, but I think it'll look better in the pictures. But I'm just doing a little bit of a brighter color. And then I just touched it in a spot where I didn't mean to touch it, right under the eye there. But I can go back over that. So let me go ahead and paint the eye white. And I'm pretty sure that Fred Gwynne, who played Herman Munster, had blue eyes, so I've got to give him a blue eye. Holy moly, that's just so tiny, and I'm trying to do it. Alright, that looks pretty good, actually. Now if I can get the other side to look that good. Ooh, I feel like there's too big of a glob of paint on the tip of that brush. I don't even know if the camera's focused, because I'm more or less trying to look at what I'm doing than focused on what the camera's seeing. Alright, so that's getting there. I've got to go under that eye with a little bit of that dark, but you definitely want to make the brow bone look like it's more prominent, and you want to give him those eyelids. You can sort of tell that's what I'm trying to do there. It's not, I gotta say, it's not as easy trying to do it on this tiny little doll head as it is my own face, but I think it's going to look pretty cute. I'm going to actually do more with that forehead, and then once I see the hairline, the black hair get painted on, it's going to really give us more of a Herman Munster look. But also, let me grab this green again, this darker shade that I mixed up, and go ahead and hit that spot under the eye where I messed up. Alright, that looks okay. Put a little bit more on this side because that one's got more than this side. It's just sort of something you just gotta fiddle with. And then let's go ahead and do a nostril. He's got really big nostrils. They took black and they painted bigger nostrils on his nose. So let's give him really exaggerated nostrils. Make them kind of go upward. And I'm just using straight up black. And then my camera isn't showing it the same, and also the light that I'm using is creating shadows, which makes him look kind of funny, different versus what I'm seeing in real life. And then of course I'm going to try to clean the brush off a little bit. You want to kind of pull that brush and get the finest little tip with your paint on it so that you'll have a fine little tip, because I'm going to try to paint the mouth. He's got black lips. I kind of wished he had a really big open smile, but he don't. So we're going to just paint him smiling with his mouth closed. He smiled a lot with his mouth closed too, so. And he didn't have like really big lips, so I want to be really careful. I mean, I'm already seeing that looking way more like Herman Munster. It's a big difference from how he started out. Oh my gosh, look how cute that is. See, the more you do, the better it looks. Now, I definitely need to give him a pupil because he looks a little dead. Well, I guess he is sort of dead, but, you know, he's still, I need to get the blue and give him a pupil real quick. So I feel like this blue is too bright. Let me grab a better blue here. All right, so sometimes I just dip into the lid like that, and all right, I'm making sure the camera is getting this. See, I never paint on camera, but I thought, well, I will today. So there's one pupil. Oh my gosh, he's super cute. And then this one. Oh yeah, he looks, I know I can do something to make him more Herman. What do I need to do? This pupil, is that pupil bigger? One eye looks kind of squinty. I guess that's okay. Herman's got a really long face, and I'm going to try to keep his bangs. Let's go ahead and get the hairline painted in. Let me lay that down. He's okay. I'm not like getting like this amazing Herman Munster transformation like I wanted, but let's get the hair painted in and see how well that changes it. And then I'm going to keep that hairline straight up and try to keep it, keep his forehead looking as big as I can. I don't want to bring the bangs down too low. I'm not even going to paint any bangs coming down because the real hair that I glue on will kind of give more of that look. Now, of course, he's got a scar coming down, and hopefully that picture is correct. I hope that picture hasn't been flipped, because from what I'm seeing in that picture, his scar is coming down on this side, and I'm not brave enough to try to put a scar on there yet, because that's going to be a super tiny detail that I'm going to have to focus on. I don't want him to just look like Frankenstein's monster. You know, everybody calls Frankenstein's monster Frankenstein. That's not his name. Frankenstein is the guy that created the monster. I don't guess Frankenstein's monster even has a name, or does he? I don't know. But everybody calls him Frank or Frankie or just Frankenstein. Um, but anyway, let me get his hair painted real quick. All right, so I've allowed myself one more drop of that paint. And then let me see. I think he looks cute, but I feel like we can get him to look even more Herman. Now, again, Herman has a longer face, which this doll does not have. And I'm just trying to think, what should I do to lengthen that chin? Should I bring some marks down further? I think actually that might be what I should do. Like bring that down. That might look kind of weird, but I feel like that lengthens the jawline, kind of the chin or whatever. And then I'm looking up there. I just keep looking at the picture. So again, doing my own makeup, you can change a real human face way better than you can a doll face, because their faces don't move. You can't move your chin or mouth or do anything to help look like that character. This doll has just got a frozen little face. It ain't really posable, and I'm just I don't know. I just don't want to do too much. I think I've done about what I can do with him. I know he's got these little pieces of metal right here. I'll get my silver paint and put in a couple of little pieces here on the forehead. I need to do the scar. I don't know. I'm just going to ponder on it a minute for a little while. He definitely needs his little neck bolts put in there later. That'll probably be the last thing I do. And then Herman's always got that big open smile and big goofy look. But I think he's pretty cute. I mean, there's just not much else I can do. I'm wondering if he needs like some eyelashes. It looks like Herman has noticeable eyelashes. So I'm going to go off camera and try to do a few tiny details that might make him look more Herman. So anyway, let me do that and then I'll come back. Okay, so what I did is I cut off his bottom lip, and you can sort of see that. I'm going to try to give him an open mouth because, again, he always smiled with this big open mouth. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to paint it back green, and then we're going to repaint on a mouth. So let me just get that green color. And again, that's a good reason to use the color straight out of the bottle so that you don't have to think, how did I get that color mixed? So let's just do that. And then I'm going to let that dry. And then I'm going to kind of try to paint his mouth open. And he looks super crazy and crude. I did try to paint on those little silver details up there and that little scar, which doesn't look great. I did kind of go above the brow bone with like a yellowy green. I'm going to use straight up white. I just want like this super bright highlight there. So I'm going to use straight up white, just barely getting that green in there. I just want that highlight to be super noticeable. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to use some red to do the inside of his mouth and then do the lips around that, because as you can see, I think it's going to be pretty cute once it's done. He's got this super high forehead that I could have molded out of some clay or something. I don't know, but I think it's going to be cute overall once it's done. He looks so weird without his bottom lip, but he'll look so different once I get that opened mouth painted. All right, so there's how I've done the face, and I think it actually looks really cute. I like it better with an open mouth. And then we'll look at that better later. But for the shoes, I have sat here and got this idea. I have taken this, what is this? Painter's tape, and I'm going to go around the foot. Kind of like you see me doing. And I'm trying to just get it wrapped all the way around the foot there. All right, I think that's good enough. So you kind of see what I've done. And I don't know if you know what I'm going to do next or not, but that's kind of his little foot's up in there. I got to try to make sure that, all right, let me make sure it's smooth and even inside. I'm trying to make a mold. So there, they definitely don't look even. This one looks more pointy. I guess I can carve these down if necessary. But what I'm going to do is his head's still wet, so I'm trying to be careful. So I'm going to like put me some hot glue down in there and hope that that makes the platform. Well, this is just a very strange position. So I don't know. I'm trying to video and think. I'm doing this out of my head as I'm doing it, just like you're seeing it on camera. So I guess what I need to do is make sure I don't want one taller than the other. So I'm going to try to, I don't know what I need to do. I guess I'd rather just fill them things up with hot glue, let them dry, and then if one's taller than the other, I can cut it down later, shape them up a little bit. But I've just created that little thing that you see. You see his little foot shining inside there. So anyway, let's do it. Let's just put some glue in there, and hopefully that's going to create a mold for his platform shoe. I unplugged that, so it's got to heat up again. But once it does, I'm going to just fill it up, and I've got to make sure it dries completely, and then I'll take that tape off, and hopefully he'll have this really cool looking platform, and that I can just paint black, and it'll be so cool. And so who knows? We're going to find out here in a minute. Okay, so I got it in there, and oh my gosh, it's so hot. Holy moly, that's really hot. Ow. Holy cow, that is like really hot. Oh wow. Uh, ah, well, I was going to try to squeeze it and as it dries or hardens a little bit just to keep it. Uh, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to try and shape it as it dries. And I think if that tape will pull away, that should give a pretty cool platform. Oh wow, as hot as that is, it's going to probably take uh, the rest of my lifetime to harden because it's so much. Oh man, there's so much in there and it's so freaking hot. Um, but I think it kind of seems like that's going to work. I'm just going to let it dry. I don't care if I shape it with my fingers like this or not because I can carve it down with the blade after it hardens. I just hope it's not. I just hope it ain't going up over the top of the foot, like going out at the bottom. I tried to stick the tape around the foot as tight as it would go. As long as it just stays on the bottom of the foot, it should be okay. I might even go rush this and stick it in the freezer or something. I don't know if I want to really do that, but anyway, so far so good. All right, so it's set up enough to where it's not as hot, and I kind of did shape it a little bit the way I wanted it, and I don't think it has much more time to go before it is hard enough. I'm going to let this sit here. I want to make sure it's definitely hardened up before I try to pull away that glue because it will just destroy it. Um, so I've got a couple of sewing projects that I need to do to finish up my costume for Halloween, and then while I'm doing that, surely it will be hard enough to pull that tape off later. But I've got plenty of things I could be doing while it's doing that, and I could even be cutting out his little clothes or something too while I'm waiting for that to dry. But don't pull the tape off too soon. You just gotta be patient, and I'm trying to be, but I'm just so excited. I'm wanting to take that tape off because I'm just wanting to see if this works. So anyways, I'm gonna get it away before I get too excited and pull the tape off. I want to sit him up I guess kind of like that, so they don't start to sag the wrong way. But that's strange, but that'll work till I come back. All right, so I sat in there and watched Judge Judy. I didn't get any sewing done or anything else, but I came back to fill this, and it's kind of hard. It's hard enough to where I think I'm going to try to take the tape off. So let's, oh my gosh, look. All right, now, oh wow. Oh, it worked. It totally worked. Well, oh my goodness. Let's get the other one off and see. Oh my gosh. Uh, Now it looks so silly. It looks like he's standing on like a block of ice or something. No, wait, I gotta be real careful. But once I get that painted, of course it looks like I'm gonna have to carve the bottom flat. And then there's some bubbles. You can see some bubbles, but they're not gonna hurt it. You can just sort of see through the glue. Oh, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Ah, get it off my finger. Oh my gosh. Oh, hang on just 1 minute. Goodness gracious. All right. Look how cool that looks. I am so freaked out, like excited. Uh, Check out this gnat flying around on the cup back here. I hate the gnats. I mean, I don't have a lot of gnats. You can see I don't have a lot of gnats, but there's that one stupid little gnat that just keeps coming around. I'm going to have to give him a name, or I don't know. Anyway, back to this. Look how good that looks. I mean, that blows my mind. Oh, wow. I mean, I just didn't know if it was going to work or not. And as you can see, it totally worked. Let me get a little closer. Once that's painted, I kind of feel like it's going to just pop right off. Like there's a chance that it can pop off. And this gnat is just really distracting me. I'm sorry. All right, we're back. And he's gone. I don't know where he went, but anyway, that looks amazing. So I'm going to try. I think it's going to be super hard. Maybe I can measure down from the bottom of the shoe there and make sure I get a perfect flat cut across there. So I'm going to draw a little line around there to get it a perfect cut. Find my little measuring ruler, and then I can take my blade, and since that's just hot glue, it'll probably cut really, really easy. But then once that gets painted black, I can't wait to do it. So let me get it trimmed even at the bottom, and then we'll paint it. All right, so there's what it looks like. And it was not the easiest to try to carve that down to flatten the bottom out with the blade, but I did the best I could. And then I took my Dremel and I tried to smooth them out a little bit that way also, but the Dremel melted the glue, so I had to be very careful with that. And then there were a few little pieces of flange, or like little flaky little pieces that I just couldn't get off real good. So I actually took a lighter and kind of melted those away, and that just kind of cleaned it up and gave it a little bit of a smoother edge. And I think they're good enough. I'm going to leave them alone before I mess them up because they're just so perfect. I don't want to have to redo it or anything. So I think they're fine. So now I'm going to grab this paint right here. They use this a lot in like model cars and stuff. I think I'm going to use that because it's got a nice glossy black that I know will match these shoes perfect. So I'm going to grab me a brush real quick and get that painted on. So let me shake it up. All right, so we got this. Now this paint is way more liquidy than my regular acrylic paint, but it's a nice paint that covers it really well. And check that out. Now I'm actually going to paint the whole foot just to make sure it does match good. So let's just slap one coat on. I might paint them twice actually, just to make sure they've got a nice coating. But look how amazing that looks. I am so excited. I mean, that little idea just came to me because I had been thinking about this character for a while, so I've had plenty of time to like think, how could I get that to look like platforms? I was gonna go around it with a piece of poster board or like some sort of little thin board, but then I thought this might work, so let's try it first, and if it don't, I can just rip it off and do my original other ideas. But check that out. Isn't that the coolest little thing? I think that looks really believable. I think it really looks like what platforms should look like. But don't that look awesome? So, oh my gosh, my little gnat's back. But this I know this paint takes a minute to dry. It depends on what you're putting it on. But it looks like it's about to drip. I just don't want to get any drips or globs. But all right, so I'll let that dry. And don't that look amazing? I'm so excited. That turned out way better than I expected, and it was super easy to do it. All right, so here we are. You're kind of getting to see it, and I kind of like this because you're seeing it, but you're not like seeing it completely giving away all the cute little details. Of course, I've got his little shirt on. I've got to fold the top of it back to make it look like a little lapel and to expose the shirt underneath. I've got to do the hair, and I've got to do some tiny little black fingernails because I noticed he's got black nails. And for the hair, I couldn't find what I normally use, so I found this giant spider who's getting ready to get a haircut and provide some hair for Herman. So that's what I'm going to do. We've got our little gnat friend flying around still. So I'm going to paint his little nails, do his hair, fold his little shirt back, and then we'll check him out because I think that's about it. Oh, no, no, no. We got to do the neck bolts, which I'll just do those off camera because I'm just going to take like a little sewing pin and just poke him in the side of his neck. So I'll do that and then we'll check him out. All right, so there he is. I've put his hair on, and I just wanted you to get a look at how wild he looks. Of course, I haven't got it cut yet, but I've got to kind of let the glue dry before I start pulling and tugging on it. But I'm going to do that, get it cut up and styled, and then paint those nails black. And I think that's the last thing I got to do. We'll check him out here in just a second. Um, but I was trying to think, is there any kind of little prop that I'm going to make? I can't really think of anything, but there might come something later down the road. So here he is, and wait, before you see him, I was really, I was really not sure if I liked it, but I just kept thinking, well, he looks as much like he does as the rest of them look like they do. And I mean, I'm looking at him spinning here, and I'm thinking he's cute. I mean, I wished he had a longer face, but again, it's so hard to force that to have a longer face unless I just completely sculpted it out of clay, a chin, and a taller head, kind of like I did that one character with my Scooby Doo people. But I don't know. I think he's cute. I think the more I look at him, like walk away, come back, I love him. And he does. He looks pretty cute. Like I said, he looks as good as he does for him as the others do for them. So I think he fits, he matches them well. He looks pretty cute. I think he looks a little bit like Herman. Again, it's all about those eyelids. I want to stop him so we can focus on it. See the bright colored eyelid? I know it's not like a super close image, but you can tell the eyelids are a brighter color. They're not dark like that little brow bone. But I mean, he's such a big difference from, what he started out as. I mean, dang, he does look cute. I'm looking through the camera and he does look pretty darn cute. The shoes are amazing. I mean, the shoes look like they were sculpted that way and actually made that way. You would have never thought that is just a big old glob of hot glue down there. His little black nails, you can sort of see his little thumbnail there. Those turned out pretty cute. Um, there you might can see him a little bit better. Of course, I've already took pictures of him with all the other characters. They look really cute. Um, Now, I do like the mouth. I'm glad I made the mouth open instead of closed. The hair, everything looks pretty good, I guess, for what it is. I did go back in and paint his ears a little bit because I had got some black on the ears and I wanted his ears to stay showing because I noticed Herman's show pretty good. And of course, giving him those shoes made him taller than everyone else. I wondered if maybe I should have made him even more tall, but if I'd have made them shoes any taller, the shoes would have just looked sort of dumb. He's about almost a head taller. If you look in some of the pictures, his chin, he ain't quite a head taller than Grandpa. So I mean, he's a pretty good size to the other dolls that I've made. I think I've done pretty decent with the scale. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna stick. I don't know if I've done stuck the picture in here or not, or if I'm just gonna stick it in at the end. But I'm gonna put a picture of me as Herman. I just feel like my makeup looks amazing, and I didn't use any kind of prosthetics. I just done that dark. I blocked out my eyebrows with the dark and did my eyelids, and of course, with a human face, you can do all kinds of funny expressions to help create that look. But I love dressing up. I'm so happy it's October and it's Halloween. I mean, to me, October, the whole month is like Halloween for me, not just the 31st. Oh, yeah, and if you can sort of see his little neck bolts, I just heated those up. Those are little sewing pins. I heated those up with a lighter so they'd push in easier and then stuck them in. They wouldn't go in too far because that neck is like solid vinyl, so it's really, really hard to push it in there. But I finally got them in enough. I just clipped the heads off of them. Of course, the whole needle ain't going through it, but anyway, it looks pretty cute. Thank you all so much for watching this little episode. I hope you are happy with how my little Herman has turned out. Thank y'all for watching and for commenting. And I guess that's all I've got for this episode. So I'll see you all in the next one.